She didn't know someone had been living in her house. Not breaking in, not visiting, but living. Sleeping in her bed while she was at work, eating her food, wearing her clothes. And the most disturbing part? The evidence had been there for weeks. She just didn't know how to read it. Maya was 26, independent, and proud of it. She just signed her first solo lease, a one-bedroom apartment on the third floor of a quiet building in the city. No roommates, no drama. Just her plants, and a bottle of wine on Friday nights. She worked long hours. Graphic design, mostly remote, with occasional trips to the office across town. Which meant most days her apartment sat empty from 8 a.m. to sometimes 7 or 8 at night. She never thought twice about that. She should have. The first sign came in week 2. She came home on a Tuesday and noticed her kitchen chair had been pulled out from the table. Just slightly. Maybe 6 inches. She figured she'd forgotten to push it back. The second sign came 3 days later. Her shampoo bottle, the expensive one, the one she rationed carefully, was almost empty. She'd only used it twice since buying it. She figured she'd misjudged how much she'd used. The third sign was the one she almost explained away entirely. Her bed. She was meticulous about her bed. Every morning without fail she made it. Tight corners. Pillows arranged just so. It was one of those small rituals that made her feel in control. But that Thursday evening, the left side of the duvet had a crease in it. A long body-shaped crease. Like someone had been lying there. She stared at it for a long moment. Then she straightened the duvet, told herself she must have sat on it that morning without remembering, and went to make dinner. It was a Friday when she first felt it. Not saw. Not heard. Felt. She'd come home around 6 p.m., dropped her bag at the door, and walked into her living room. And stopped. The air felt different. Warmer than usual. Closer. Like the kind of warmth a room holds when someone has recently been sitting in it. She stood very still. Listen. Nothing. She told herself it was the heating. She told herself she was being dramatic. She poured her wine, put on a show, and went to bed. But at 2 a.m. she woke up for no reason at all. Just opened her eyes in the dark and lay there, heart already beating too fast, staring at her ceiling. And then she heard it. The softest sound. Almost nothing. The sound of weight shifting. Slowly. Carefully. Coming from inside her wardrobe. She didn't move for 4 full minutes. She counted. Then, because she was Maya, because she'd always been stubborn and hated being afraid, she got up, walked to the wardrobe, and pulled it open. Empty. Just her clothes. Her shoes. A box of old photographs on the shelf above. She exhaled. Laughed at herself quietly. And that's when she noticed the box had been moved. It was sitting forward on the shelf. Just slightly. Just enough that the lid was resting against one of her hanging jackets. She never kept it there. She pulled it down and opened it. Her old photographs were still inside. But sitting on top of them, not mixed in, deliberately placed on top, was a photograph she had never seen before. A printed photograph of her, asleep, taken from above. From the angle of someone standing at the foot of her bed, looking down at her in the dark. The timestamp printed in the corner of the photo read 3:44 a.m. 3 weeks ago. Her hands weren't shaking yet. She was still in that strange numb place where your brain refuses to fully process what your eyes are seeing. She flipped it over. On the back, in small, neat handwriting. I've been watching you sleep for a long time. I just wanted you to finally know. She called the police. They searched the apartment and found things she hadn't known to look for. Behind the false panel at the back of her wardrobe, a panel she'd never noticed, a panel that had clearly been there since long before she moved in, there was a space, roughly the size of a single bed. Inside it, a thin blanket folded neatly, an empty water bottle, 3 food wrappers, and a small battery-powered light switched off. Someone had been living in that space. Entering through a ventilation access panel in the back wall that connected to a maintenance corridor behind the building. Coming in, watching, waiting, leaving before she arrived home. The building's management had no record of any maintenance work. The corridor had no cameras, and no one in the building reported seeing anything unusual. The police found fingerprints. They ran them. No match in the system. Whoever he was, he'd never been caught before. Maya moved out that same night. She stayed with a friend, then a family member, then moved to a different city entirely 3 months later. But here's the detail that never left her. When the police removed that thin blanket from behind the panel, it smelled of her perfume, the one she kept on her nightstand. He hadn't just been sleeping near her. He'd been wearing it. She never found out who he was. No arrest. No name. No face. Just fingerprints that matched nothing. And a photograph of her sleeping that she can't explain, taken by someone who was inside her home while she thought she was completely alone. The case is technically still open. The detective assigned to it retired 2 years later. And Maya still checks her wardrobe every single night before she goes to sleep. Both sides. And the back panel. Every time. If that story made you check the room you're sitting in right now, good. That means it worked. Drop the word wardrobe in the comments if you watched this alone tonight. I want to see how many of you are brave enough to admit it. And if you want the next one, the story of the woman who realized her neighbor had a key to her apartment and had been using it for 2 years. Subscribe, because that one is even worse.